Our next guest speaker, he has 15 years of professional experience in the domains of security operations management and security governance, and has been leading a multitude of large-scale, multidisciplinary information projects in Europe, the Balkans, and the Middle East, working with the multinational and domestic organizations in banking, telecommunication, insurance, and customer sectors. He will be speaking about building cyber perceptibility. And let's give a big round of applause for Mr. George Daglas.
Thank you all. I'm very happy to be here to discuss a little bit about the way we think about cybersecurity. So I will start by giving you a little bit of background of where we come from. At Obrela, what we do practically is analyze, use security analytics to analyze risk and threat in real time for organizations. So having this experience gives us a great access to a very large number of organizations regarding what works and what doesn't in real life. So I would like to share this experience with you and maybe change a little bit the way we think about cybersecurity nowadays. We will talk a little bit about the environment that we are currently operating in. And we will start with the obvious. The fact that cybercrime is increasing, and it is increasing with an increasing rate. And why is that? Well, it's obvious. If we were to approach it from a business perspective, this would be a great business case. Why? There's a great ease of entrance into the market. You don't have to be a guru anymore. As long as you have money, you can buy technology, you can buy hackers, you can buy whatever you want. And you can do whatever you want with a very high profit potential and with a very low risk of being apprehended. So it competes with the best areas of crime out there, and it will continue to do so. So high profit, low risk market, it means that we have to do something about it. And what are we doing internally as organizations in order to protect ourselves from these guys? What we're doing is we continue to have lack in specialized resources. We continue to have ineffective communication within our own organization. We, of course, are expanding the business, meaning that we expand the geographic locations of our businesses, as well as where our data resides. But at the same time, we have the inherent necessity that businesses have nowadays for openness. Organizations are not what they used to be, where data were enclosed within the stronghold of our servers. Data are everywhere. And not only that, but at the same time, data, which is our most valuable asset nowadays, and their volume is increasing, again, with an increasing rate. So this is ultimately the target of any attacker out there, can be transmitted outside our organizations very, very fast. The change in the technology gives them the advantage. So one could say that we are fighting a losing war. We are fighting a war that we cannot win. And there are things that we are doing wrong. Why? Because we think we have the solution, but the solution we have doesn't really work. Why? Because of the way we buy cybersecurity. How do we buy cybersecurity? Regulation. The previous speaker extensively discussed regulation. So compliance, regulation, is the number one driver for security spending. And it tells us what we have to do. Number two, the speaker before talked about vendors, us, the cybersecurity industry, that pitch to you every single day about magic bullets, that pitch to you every single day about new technologies, that pitch to you every day about the new product you have to buy, that will cover the minute niche of a potential threat or attack to your organization. I'm not saying that we shouldn't purchase technology. All I'm saying is that this is the way we purchase technology. And of course, it's threats, it's news, it's publicity, it's fear at the end of the day that we are feeling when we read about all these compromises that happen all over the world, about fines, about this, about that, and of course we don't want this to happen in our own organization. The cybercrime rise, the evident cybercrime rise, of course, is the reason we purchase cybersecurity. And for those who actually measure the risk internally in their organizations, it's also the actual risk of their business when and if they are capable to measure it. And last but definitely not least, and with an increasing rate, it's marketing. Because cybersecurity nowadays, apart from everything else, is also a buzzword and a business enabler. So everybody wants to advertise that their business is secure, amongst other things. And now that we've seen some of the drivers, let's see how this happens internally in an organization. So the business practically of organizations provides the funding, doesn't necessarily provide the prioritization. Typically this happens from marketing, from legal, from audit, from compliance. And InfoSec or cybersecurity functions are merely considered implementers along with the IT, and not primary contributors to what we have to do within the organization. So, what is the solution that we are typically selecting? Technology, lots of it, causing a lot of fragmentation in terms of the sheer number of technologies that we are deploying in-house. Them, instead of solving my problem, create another problem of huge complexity, and of course, some consultation, and when we have lack of resources, some outsourcing. So this is the typical approach that we have been following for so long, and everybody before me has already informed you with numbers why is it failing. I'm not going to do the same. The fact is, the approach is failing. So now what? We have to enter in a new way of thinking and realize that technology, consultation, this and that, cannot decide for ourselves within our organization. So, can we rely on technology to make decisions on behalf of us? Who makes these decisions during crisis, when something goes wrong? Is it clear who makes actions after those decisions are made? Typically, no. Typically, we don't even have the ability to detect what's going on in our organization, either on a process level or on a technical level. So, evidently, we are failing. And it would be nice if there would be some AI magic bullet technology that would be able to make all these nice decisions for us, and we would simply deploy it and be done with it. But there is no technology commercially available right now to be able to replace human beings in taking informed decisions during crisis. So we need to change the way we think about cybersecurity. We need to have a mindset shift, which will revolve around being able to have interoperability regarding the various technologies that we are deploying within the organization. We have to have seamless organizational process integration as well. And I'm talking about business processes that have to be integrated with IT processes, with cybersecurity processes. I'm talking about an environment that will enhance collaboration and communication, and at the end of the day, will result in a streamlined decision-making support platform for an organization. What does this mean? It means that the technology will help us make decisions rather than we have to configure, deploy it, and expect it that it will do something for us when we need it. And of course, we need to be able to act fast, so we need to be able to automate some of the decisions when we can, and to be able also to automate actions in some cases when we can. So, our approach towards this, towards covering those needs, is the same as business have, the business example. So back in the day, there used to be different HR applications, different logistics applications, different this, different that, different the other. And nowadays, there's no single modern organization that is not working with an ERP. So this is what we are proposing. The approach of a cybersecurity ERP, meaning that we take the integration of all the different fragmented technologies that we have deployed out there, security technologies. We collect the meaningful data. We are able to have analytics on them, workflows in our organization, automation, orchestration, intelligence, integrated risk management, and so on. Why not? At the end of the day, what we want to achieve is to make sure that we know who decides and based on what information. In this graph, which looks more complicated than it is practically, on the bottom layer, on the last layer on the bottom, practically all actions, observation, orientation, decision, and action at the end of the day is made by technology. We are not there yet, but there are this type of decisions that can be made and actions that can be made by technology itself. In most other layers, what we need to do practically is to decide at which point the human element will be fed, if I may use this word, with the correct information by the technology to take appropriate decision or action at the appropriate time. So taking informed decisions on a timely basis is mostly critical for being able to establish an appropriate security program in an organization. What we are proposing is a decision support platform, a decision support system for an organization where people, process, technology, data will be analyzed, will be communicated, will be analyzed, will be escalated along an organization, and will either trigger semi-automated decisions or will assist humans to make those decisions on a timely basis. To do that, what we need, and I'm close to the finish, is to be able to model practically everything within our organization in a unified ontology model. We need to collect information about our exposure status. We have so many systems that are doing vulnerability assessments, we have people doing penetration tests, we have this, we have that, of course. And what we do with it? Nothing practically. We fix whatever we fix whenever we are able to fix it, and then it remains in a PDF document, or if just a bunch of people know it in our organizations, but it's value. Nobody knows about it. We have threat intelligence. We have compliance requirements. We have policies. We have operational security requirements. We have data derived from event management systems that are analyzing logs and flows and this and that. We have network systems. We have what we call the universe. And the universe, a part of all these obvious things, is whatever else entity exchanges information and communicates with our organization. And what is this? This could be from our vendors to our SLAs, from our physical locations to our organizational structure. And all these elements are who we are as an organization. So we need to use all this information so that information flows at the appropriate level for the appropriate people to make the appropriate decisions. And to do that, we need to collect information in a unified data lake and give appropriate people appropriate access and appropriate level of visibility in the information they see. This will resolve practically technology fragmentation. This will engage and enable business in the decision making. Right now, only if it's public knowledge, typically CEOs of organizations know about security breaches, or if we are about to receive a fine, this is something that will reach the board of directors or CEO level. Else, they have no knowledge about what's going on practically, and they should. It will remove and reduce the isolation between various departments that are treating information, which is very valuable for others, but are treating it as if it's just for them. And of course, it will reduce the compartmentalization of communication. It will offload a lot of security functions which are overloaded nowadays, and it will give overall situational awareness and a common perception within our organization of what really the risk is. If you ask somebody that his profession is to perform penetration tests, for example, what is risk, he will tell you a zero-day vulnerability is a risk for the organization. If you ask the CEO, he will tell you the risk for my organization is to have a fine, or my operations to be interrupted for a week, or to be in the news, as the new victim of attack, so that I have a huge marketing loss. Those two people talk two different languages, but each at its own level is correct. And of course, we will be able to support decision making and automate technology controls. Thank you for attending my presentation. If you want to listen more about how we can do something like that in our organization, you're more than welcome to visit us on our booth. We're more than happy to discuss that with you. Thank you.